I should worry about we should probably have the rest of it. I think everything in line. Yeah. Big thing is let's like all phase one would be the obvious biggest one.
Hey guys, if you're comfortable putting this into, can I have attention real quick? Sorry, real quick, guys, real quick. You only have 2 minutes left, so no, I'm just kidding. If you're comfortable putting this into GitHub, please do so. All right, this is going to be something that we really want to have live in GitHub, so we can share it with the rest of your team. All right, we're good. If you're not comfortable with doing that, maybe over lunch or after class today we can work on that. But if you're comfortable with it, please, by all means, put this in GitHub. Okay, that's it.
Okay, so this is all we're doing right now. The overall issue there's 3 things. I'll try to figure out okay, someone wants to do the JavaScript text.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're right. It says
Who's coding?
He's coding over here.
One of us. Everyone has a second to slide out. Oh, yeah. So it's like that. We're just gonna do
Yeah, one person can do so it's really easy to have. It's really like temporarily.
Call it employee too.
We're done.
everything that's not calculated.
I think what we need.
I can step in so tight. I think it's actually got for this for when I enter the role.
So this is this, right? So you need
I think or
Yeah, so I know.
just to so let's say this could make a repo. This could basically you just go to settings and
Oh, okay. Oh, you can just add those right on. That's so,
yeah, his he would show up for us, but it's his
Yeah, maybe have a bunch. See.
yeah, there's been a lot of groups.
and they shouldn't do.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
It's gonna be.
I think it maybe be worthwhile if somebody was makes a video and says flash that out.
Oh, just
Like how to do that?
Yeah.
Or how to use GitHub.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Something you want to use?
Yeah, I should try to figure out how to do it. 'Cause, like, so a lot of this stuff
This
It looks like you can make a sign.
yeah.
So yeah, we want to do that. Some of the good things.
Sure. Yeah, maybe if like when we're before we go on break, break time, you guys want to get some people, but like
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, I'll even.
But I know there's been times where we've done stuff like that, and then like after years.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Like, by myself, there's a small part. You guys no, not yet.
I guys, we only have 10 minutes left for this project. 10 minutes total.
If you make it work, here's called, let's see. What I'm saying is, like, if you're in your mind, if you do a big phone there, and make it the name every time, but if you make a folder in your house of the name of your project, say employee, then you go inside it, and then you make a folder inside of the name of your project. Unless you're getting home, add space. Kind of like overwrite space. Yeah, so I'm saying like employee folder and then exactly right there. Exactly. But if you go right here, just get to know this first one made one. Exactly that. Double folders. Yeah. So just use the space. But if you just get long okay, close space. Yeah, get close. Yeah, we'll get through. So exactly. Yeah.
Now, here's the next part, so we're all in here.
Okay, so you guys should all do some new check. Of course. There.
Myself,
You don't need
yeah. It's a good overview to get us going.
Actually, an email. Yeah, that's
More or less.
Like in your ID, you know how like pilots have to
So
and so like you know there's a plans on there. It's like gets a different ID. It's like control app.
You might have there's a little basic idea is like to actually
Okay, awesome.
Get the space down to the left.
Oh, you're eager. Yeah, exactly. Because you're not eager.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly how it's like.
So we got to get
Well, yeah.
so well, so I'm doing that.
That's all.
Right, but so I'm assuming that's what we're doing, right? It's like pulling yeah, and then I thought we only needed local like
Start now.
like I thought we were only using local storage or local storage.
And then monthly cash now.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's the initial stuff is an answer. Yeah.
And then for
We're gonna be changing. Oh yeah, you're totally right about that. Yeah, I don't have.
So now, whenever you guys push it up, so remember, whenever you do a push, always do a pull, make sure you get what's going to fall on there. Yeah.
and then I'll bring
I saw
it.
it. Because you just did it. You get it.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Well, it's
I know. I'm like, it's just stuff to say myself. I got so now.
Rocket hatch.
Like right now, I'm like,
All right, guys, let's bring it back together. Big power clap. All right, so take a break. Everybody, like eyes off. Okay, how is our application looking as far as having a layout, an HTML CSS layout? Raise your hand if you have that part done. All right, sort of, good. Okay, how many created an on-click event for the button? Doesn't have to do anything yet, just have to have an on-click button. How many groups have that done? All right, Nicole, what's going on with you guys? Okay, that's my concern. Don't do repository stuff over the activity, okay? Most importantly, we gotta be on the same page, okay? So if there's a little bit extra time at lunch, I'll go over, we'll work on repository stuff if we want, but priority is get it working first, okay? How about anybody else? Any other struggles that you're running into? No? No? Good? Awesome. Okay. All right, so before we go back to our project, let's talk a little bit about the next thing we're going to learn, right? So you see at the top, we have a set is limited to replacing the data that's in this reference, right? What does that reference blank mean? Does anybody tell me? It's a root, right? It's like nothing there. So we're replacing the name, the email, the age, the comment. We did this on Wednesday and Thursday, right? This is the new thing we're going to learn today. Dot push, right? So changing it, what did I didn't do anything, right? All I did was say set is down push. And what happens? This acts as an insert as opposed to an update, right? An insert will allow us to save multiple records underneath that root, right? That's pretty cool, right? It's pretty simple. All we need to do is change it. So let's just see what that looks like. All right. So in our examples on Wednesday and Thursday, test 3 website 2. All right. So we're going to do a couple different things at this stage. The next stage, we're going to all be creating a Firebase database, a new one for this specific process. Like I said, I don't want you to jump in it now. I just want you to see, right? So what you should be able to do is pull up your existing database and write to it. So that's the goal. But like I said, I don't want to do it right now. So setting basically replaces whatever data is in there, right? And we all created this on Wednesday and Thursday. So let's take a look at this. Let's look at the push. Let's take a look at the code, and then we'll look at the action. Okay. Okay, so this should all look pretty familiar to us, right? Does anything look strange about that? Does anybody have any questions about that? All right, that's pretty basic, right? We're just entering a name, email, age, comment. Okay. Let's look at push. Well, ignore that bottom one. We're going to get into that in a minute. Okay, ignore that one. Yeah. It's the same thing, right? It's the same thing. The cool thing about doing pushes, as far as this is, instead of doing an update, is since we have multiple data. Let me pull up a different database here. Since we're giving multiple data, oh, can you guys see in the back? See, I bet you can. We're given this. What the heck is that? Does anybody have any ideas what that is? Yeah. Unique IDs, right? We haven't provided that. Firebase just knows if this is a push, you're inserting a record, and this is going to happen, right? It's going to create this basically this level that's on top of here that's just ID. So let's take a look at what happens when I add another one. That's just recently. Oops. All right. So let's take a look at our oh, look at this. Huh? Pretty cool, right? It's just that easy. Nothing really changed. Now, how we load the information is going to be slightly different. That's going to get into the add child piece. We're not there yet. But for right now, what we're going to focus on is just populating our database with the information that comes on that on-click from that first exercise. Does that make sense? We're going to push the data. So what are some of the things we need to cover in this next exercise? Okay, first we need to set up our project. One of us needs to set up a project and a Firebase database for each group. Okay, we're going to take the new phone knowledge of push. We can steal the code from the set stuff we did on Wednesday and Thursday. Just reuse, right? Copy and paste it in here. There's nothing that's going to be different about that at this level, right? Don't worry about getting the data to display in the HTML just yet. Okay, we're going to go over that in the next phase. Right now, we're just going to be pushing it to the database. So your code, enter form button should go to the Firebase database that we've created. That's what we're going to do in this phase. How do you guys feel about that fist of 5? Okay, knowing you can just use the code from Wednesday and Thursday. Just use that same code. Create a new database if you want. I would. Use the config information from it, or just feel free to use one of the databases that you guys built the other day. It's fine, right? Reuse is key, because that's not the focus of this. The focus is that we want to make sure push works. We want to be able to push the information from our employee and see that in the database. All right? If you finish early, read about on-child added. We're going to get into that in the next phase, but don't worry about it this phase. All right? So how do you guys feel about it now? Fist of 5? Can we all do it? Okay, great. You have 25 minutes to work on this, okay? Okay.
Now, is this even necessary? Yeah, so essentially this is gonna update it, right? So that's what I was just, yeah. I want to take a look
I'm not sure how that will go.
Guys, real quick, if you want to get if you want to follow along with me on the board of how to get the project code for the database, if you already know how to do it, great. I'm going to do the config on the screen, okay?
And we'll be able to see if that's not right. Right, yeah. Oh, yeah, sure. Right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there's no right or wrong. It's already set up. It's already set up.
Yeah, it comes to that.
course.
This is a lot of times. This is a public repo.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. So that now you're gonna probably have that. But long term, you would never want to keep any credentials in any repo. I'm just really. Yeah, I'm not saying that I'm saying in real world action. Yeah, yeah. Maybe just this, yes, you can. You can all write a regulation. Most of we got to help you.
Somehow.
Total the point is that in the same way that you right, I just want to set the password. So because it can be more that way, like you have that same this was just yeah. Let's say you add it. Let's say you make a text file called press. You have to get it. You guys all hold everything, and that's what it's not gone to repo because repo every file has ever been in technology. So and you have to repo now, but it was in much. Exactly. So at some point, it's still so that's never
Set is only
so set well, or depending on how you're writing the set, update that one or update all. Look, push will but the problem is it's hard to do but when you're creating a new record, push. So we're pushing set the value of what it's doing, which is why in this example, you only okay, so we don't want it. That's what's happening.
I don't think this week.
Well, because this which stands for now the problem with SQL is that not all SQL is the same, right? Like you have SQL, which is what say then you have Team SQL, which is what Microsoft SQL, you have PL SQL, which is what Oracle SQL. They're all SQL, it's sort of like well, not all commands are the same. Basic commands like select star, table, zero, addition, those are all the same. You get more things, so you can see that. Some databases don't support certain terms, or they're different, or it's whatever. That's what this is. You need unions. Union is a way to select. Yeah. Yeah, select star, all columns, and say layers. It's whatever it's like.
So now, and they have their own numbers.
Yeah, okay, with that type of stuff. I don't have any control of it, but I'm sure it exists. So, in fact, you might even JavaScript. If you were to Google like JavaScript library, yes, 400. sure there's an algorithm designed to interact with databases.
Yeah, we had.
And all of these are.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's not going away. But these SQL servers are no SQL server. This is huge.
Sure.
So I'm the reason why I love it. There's all sorts of ways to very easily interact with these when you're working with you can shop them out in various modes. Much harder to get. I just don't know. Keeps me
That's right. Just verbally abuse me. All right. So like.
The point is that when you write JSON, it has to read the JSON. I like that. At least clients, I don't know. jQuery is designed to smooth out. That's one of the purposes. So it has been over if many people are saying our application could slow down, well, you get into your competitors, they start trying to answer application. Right? And so they might not use jQuery. Knowing that jQuery it's the same concept like TypeScript is JavaScript, but I don't know. But it compiles it. So TypeScript is great. Which is good because it makes people write the back. Oh no, it's basically saying it's pretty. No, I'm talking to her. Or you specify the you know how yeah, yeah. And you couldn't put a string inside that. But with JavaScript, you are that now JavaScript has said, okay, let's do quotes. That means it must be a string. So that takes time for JavaScript to figure out, right? But it's talking type language. Our string name. That's what's wrong. You just need to manage, right? You don't specify
words. So I'm making my in your kind of separation, you do. So that's it's interesting. So they can use the shell as part of the job. That's how. I can do that. You must just Facebook uses JavaScript. So you don't need to. But if you're in class, it usually sounds just they're all available. So if this project is a you can go to Mongo. So Mongo's like, look, it's like if you're asking me what's better. Okay, there's just so, but they so is much more Firebase is static. So you can have Firebase. Specifically when you can Firebase is like that. Why would you? I think now will be crazy. Amazon offers databases. They have all sorts of databases. They have not Maria. They have a bunch of other services. This is
Yeah, except
you can use Yeah. Yeah. So there are I don't know. Okay, so now we set. So that would be a way to pulling that value is there. Well, not necessarily. You know, it's always there. They'll go. You don't say to them at the end. So I need yeah, and then
Well, yeah, let's just pull it up.
I think yeah, let's take money.
So, you know how their way to share.
Oh, yeah.
But we're sharing the
There's no full
Well, you know, working on a bunch of stuff together. But it's not.
Yeah.
Right?
I can be like in 20 whatever. Everything you do. Especially, I mean, not just they track every single
Moral free is.
well, most companies
People are like, I can't access this. No, there's no reason you shouldn't.
Everything you because now I can say, well, I know that you make that money as mail. So I can sell this guy. Yeah, that's the name. So this is why the GDP goes because you're That says that every person which means that I should say, you can say, what have you been tracking? And don't do anything to the backstory. It's huge. Because it doesn't so even though legislation is every well, you have to be in the UK, or not the UK, EU, to do it, but every American, or every company has to adhere to it. They may not be because they probably unfortunately, we believe it's good if you're a capitalist. So privacy is a big deal, not just on the internet.
So we had here.
Yeah, I realized that I should be able to nationwide. Apple, interesting, because of the is built a website that anyone can use. And you can say, I don't know. I haven't seen it myself personally, but I've really made some it's not telling me that's great stuff. Think about it. If you don't know what a company's product is, thanks for it. It's just the way they feel. They don't have that money. I suppose they need this huge Google. So you use it. You're saying, I as a middle age, you're not going to trust it. Now, of course, I trust it. What if I so this is the understand. At the end, we haven't. I don't think so. The point is, it's very not
Yeah. So it's in just like
So, all right, guys. I just we gotta call it because we gotta keep moving. But I gotta take a quick pulse. How many people have gotten the database to update or insert? How many groups have got the database to insert? That's all we're looking for. Okay, back group. You guys still working out? Okay, just a few more minutes. Just a pulse check again. How many people have gotten into work at this point? Sure. How many groups have gotten to work? I'm looking at every group chat. How many got into work at this point?
So that's what it's called. So, you can see the mirror.
Copy and paste like that. For the source and put it in the presentation. So you have a source specifically for Firebase.
You want it, it's just like. That's not what it's just. That's very criterion when. It's for.
Sorry, so you have to change around the source.
So it's like.
Oh, that's great.
So like on 23,
Council law employee. Oh, I see why. Yeah. But, oh, well, it shouldn't matter. Yeah, I don't know how to fix that.
I wonder
I'm just gonna try to access it. Yeah.
What's the change I would have had to do? That way we just got our.
Oh, yeah, we're not.
So what are you doing?
Yeah, it doesn't.
There we go.
my last.
So that's. Just double check the quick syntax.
Oh, yeah, you just didn't put that in there. Right?
Yeah, it's a trend was the, okay. Okay. Yeah, let's see. Just reading. Oh, let me, push that out.
So, oh, make sure you declare the maybe like switch
This is my most recent one. And it's my lab has not.
You're using the same.
Yeah, exactly. Copy and paste that I sent you guys. And we all have ownership of Firebase.
And this is okay.
Yeah, I don't know how that is.
All right, guys, let's bring it in quick. Big power clap. All right, let's do it one more time, guys. Big power clap. All right, how are we all feeling so far? Right on. Fist of 5, how are we all doing with our project? Right? Okay, okay. How many people got the insert to work and were able to verify it within Firebird? Just verify the inserted record on Firebird. Firebase. Firebird is a relational database I hope none of you have to experience. And it is horrible. And I don't, so I'm going to mess up Firebird and Firebase all the time. Way two different things. Okay? But Firebase, how many people got into Firebase? Okay. Well, I guess we'll work on just a few more minutes. Keep your hand raised, and just so TA can help assist you guys.
Unless maybe it's
Oh, yeah. So
that's why it's not. That's supposed to be able to see it.
on the app.
So now they're shooting for it.
Yeah, it's like.
That's it. So you shared your
So I just shared the Firebase on also
Not trying to.
Yeah, that's it. That's definitely it. Oh, that was my test day. Yeah, that would do it. Fixing that. There should be a commit out there. So it looks like you're calling
Oh, I see. That's okay.
So we should roll those.
Sometimes
We got it. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, so it's just like two lots. So
oh yeah, show everybody.
It overwrites. That's a big question.
So what's happening right now is when you say something fun,
Yeah, so I just looked at the yes.
Okay, yeah, so we're doing. Essentially.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys, just a quick pulse check, real quick. How many people got data into their database? By show of hands. Data in their database. Show of hands. Everybody, you guys here? You get the data in the database? Yes? So I think that's everybody. Anybody not able to get data inserted into the database? All right, good. We're all on the same page. Guys, real quick, I need your attention up front. So do a big power clap and come back. All right. So we're going to do something real exciting. Right? We're going to cover two new topics you haven't seen before. So I want to make sure you're paying attention and taking notes. Okay? Two new things for Firebase. Okay? This is one, right? This is a special property that's available to Firebase. Firebase.database.serverValue.timestamp. Okay? There's a lot of different server values that we can use. This particular one is a timestamp, right? What does this allow us to do? What do you guys say? Well, off the top of your head, go ahead.
When the data was inserted into the database.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. This will effectively mark the time or do a timestamp of when that data or that row is inserted into the database, right? So we can set our name, we set our email, we set the age, we set the comment, right? And we can set the time it was inserted in, right? This doesn't need to. Oh no, really? Okay, this doesn't need to live in our application really to the outside user, right? They don't care when it's been inserted in our database, but for us, we might need to debug some problem, some sort of issue, or oh, this record was inserted when we were at this build in this application. Lots of whys behind it. but I really want to cover the what. We're adding this record, and this is the value. So when we need a timestamp added, this is what it looks like. Oh man, what do I keep doing? Oh, I think it's in.
Yeah, it's totally.
Okay, totally broken out, good? Good. All right, so do you guys have any questions about that syntax with that? It's obviously one of those things that you just memorize, right? As far as that, yeah.
What about on the set? You want a timestamp there too? Initially, when it was written?
Sure. You could totally do that. Yeah. Why not? When you're doing an update and you're just saying, I want to put this record in here. Yeah, same exact thing. You could say, yeah, date added, sure, why not? Right? This is just for the developer's use. Right? It's not really for anything else. It's for you to determine when a record was added to the database, and so you can point to issues or other problems, or even being able to do a count of how many records were added into a database given a certain period of time. Right? So you could say, if we had 32 of these inserts today, these pushes, and we had 34 tomorrow, this number here could tell us when and how many, right? We could do a count, figure that out later, right? But for right now, we're just gonna pop it in there. Do you guys have more questions about it? Yeah, go ahead.
Real quick, when you're setting it, there's a really common pattern to have like a date created, a date added, and another field there that's like date updated.
Right.
So like you have to set up later.
Right. And to Christian's point, for structural integrity and database integrity, having a date created and a date modified is pretty standard, right? So you see both. There's best practices in there too, but I don't really want to go down that route. Really, this is all we need to worry about right now. Is that's how you do a timestamp, okay?
I just want to add Unix timestamp. You guys see that a lot. In Unix, the Unix epoch began January 1st, 1970. So usually the Unix timestamp represents the number of seconds that have elapsed from the start of the Unix epoch. So it's a number, right? It's a huge number. How many seconds will elapse? Why is that nice? Because it's very easy to do comparisons on numbers. If I want to know which number is bigger, say the number from today, the number of seconds that have elapsed from January 1st, 1970 to today versus last week, one number is bigger than the other. It's very easy to know which one's later or not. It's also beneficial because when you go from database system to database system to database system, they might not store dates in the same way. But an integer is very easy to parse, and it's consistent across all different database systems. That's a Unix timestamp. Number of seconds that have elapsed from January 1st, 1970.
Yeah, there's a ton of whys behind this stuff, guys, and I know I covered the epoch epic. I know I covered that a little bit on the other last class. Of course, that is essentially what's being stored here. We'll get into a tiny bit of that today too. Thank you, Nick. Good call. Okay. So essentially, this is what it looks like in real code, right? There's no quotes around it, right? There's no references to any other variable that I assigned within this page. There's none of that, right? Outside of the fact that it knows that this is a server variable, right? And remember with our APIs, right? Children, that's how this works, right? There might be multiple things here. There is multiple things here. This particular one is the timestamp. Okay? All right, so let's dig into the fun part. I know you guys are really excited about this, so let's do it. All right. So we're going to sort and limit, right? When we're talking about querying or indexing or using a database, right, we can pull out different types of queries and sorts, right? This is a lot to memorize. So don't, right? Write this down. Use it in some code and being able to reuse that purpose later on, okay? Well, we can walk through it. Basically, how were we checking? Okay, let me ask you. How were we checking if a data was updated in a database on Thursday and Wednesday and Thursday? It was on value, right? So some of our sample code, I saw people using the on value. In this situation, on value won't work, okay? But on child added, at the very top there, you guys see it? On child added will, right? because it's going to be a layer down, that ID, that weird number that we're getting, that unique identifier, is technically considered a parent of that set of records, okay? So being able to say that there's a child added beneath that parent record or that ID, we're able to call this function. Who can tell me what snapshot means? Anybody? Remember snapshot?
Just something you're feeding the function.
Just somewhere feeding the function. And what in this example, what is it?
It's the value of that database.
It's a snapshot of the database. It's what it looks like at the current moment. Yeah. It's saying, hey, we updated something. What's going on? What does the database do? We're pushing it, and we're able to call a couple things from it. How do we do it? Aside some of the sample code from yesterday, same thing. This should look really familiar to you guys. These lines of code should look really familiar, right? So what does the rest of this mean? Right? We're able to use that date added, which was what? The timestamp, right? We're able to order by child date added, right? This is ascending order. So what that means, it's going to do the earliest to the most recent, okay? It's going to limit to the last one. What does that mean? What do you think that means? Documentation comes in really important, but I can make the assumption that, okay, well, that's probably just going to pull me the last record, right? It's going to pull me the last one, okay? And then what's this mean? On child added, we know what all that means. Well, when the data changes, that means this function is going to do. So this whole thing is going to pull the most recent record when it's added. Okay? So let's see what that looks like. That was a real fancy way, but this is a kind of an easier way, right? I could just do it like we were doing before, right? I don't need to do the sort. I don't need to do the addition. I could just, simple version of this is saying, okay, hey, when there's a child changed, child added, then go ahead and update it here, right? Let's see what that looks like in practice, and then I'll let you guys do it. Oh, that's not the right one. All right, hold on. All right, so we added Bart Simpson. Somebody want to yell at another name? We do it for fun. I'm sorry? Lisa? Simpson? Oh, Lisa Simpson, yeah. Sure. All right, Lisa. Hotmail. Awesome. Got a couple left. All right. She's using this. All right. All right. So look how it added it. Let's see what happened. Right. Let's look at that. Let's walk through the code and see what's going on. Actually, let's do the database first and then walk through that. All right. So this is pretty much where you guys are at right now, right? So you're able to add it, you're able to see it. Now let's see how to populate it, right? So that's what this next piece of code will tell us how to do, right? We can. All right, I want you guys to be able to do this on your own, so I'm not going to give away too much of the answers, but I want you to see that this is the new piece here, right? The child added, the function child snapshot. You guys should all have this written down someplace. That line 157, okay? That's the same thing as what we were doing with the on value, right? It's the same exact thing, right? And I like I said, I don't want to give you guys too much of the answer, but we're going to manipulate, we're going to use that data the same way we're using the other stuff, okay? So let's do this. Let's add that, if you guys wrote down or kept that timestamp. Yeah, add the timestamp. What we're going to do is we're going to use our newfound knowledge of child added method. Use the simple version for now, right? Use the simple version for now. Begin to retrieve our employee data from the database and populating the data, right? Don't worry about calculating the months worked or the total bill just yet. We're going to work more with that date in the next phase. Okay? I just wanted to give a high level of it. You don't have to worry about that being part of your application at this point. Most importantly, we're going to be just iterating through that the child added data, right? If you finish early, play with it, make it pretty. Consider incorporating, updating, delete employee buttons, but don't focus too hard on it. Yeah, if you finish early, let's just make it look pretty. All right, so we'll work on this for 25 minutes. Hopefully you don't need it. And then well, I want to cover one more thing before we go on break. Yeah. Just like 20 minutes. Guys, sorry, real quick attention. I use data rep in the example I showed everybody. I use data rep, but use your own database name, whatever you assign that to. I use data rep. Use your own database.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah, we're grabbing it by this. Right here, grabbing it by the top. So, that's why it just like. I mean, it was, I pushed it out. Given that we know, like,
Yeah.
this is me. Yeah.
Very, very high.
Yeah.
Good morning, let me look at this. I guess it's. Oh, right. So, yeah, it's
You say.
Well, I guess.
Here, everybody.
You don't mind. Yeah. So right
Yeah, lately,
I just didn't refresh
I think we'll be very
I guess not.
Just kind of like the doing
Set up a function.
The way I like to think about it is you're setting, you're essentially
You're giving up control. So you're saying, I'm fighting a like you're delegating over to sharing networking.
Yeah.
You're, it's like you,
Yeah.
you're in a shack, and you, but you know, let's see, so if I basically right now, but you
Well, I only have.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, my creative just so it is the table that's being.
So when is the deliverer brings eggs, you have to take every egg, you're going to instructions with that egg. Right, that's exactly what
Basically on the chain.
on the show.
It does, yeah. But is this, so this is basically saying, sorting by what was added. Well, I guess I'm gonna say, so I'm gonna rewrite the table that is, I'm just confused, like, could have. Like, there you go. So I'm gonna rewrite that. Okay, instead of actually, it's just saying it's in the database, it's ordering by limit and this is saying full. Like,
Oh.
Just reading it off.
Or actually, I guess.
Latest
The last one would be like the most. In this case, okay.
You want to keep like a list of the last five goals. Yeah, you can do last five, and then you can, you know, do a 40 right for that.
You say put that in the same. I'll put that on the same.
I know what it is. Try.
No.
No, if the table is unlisted, you have the in the table.
No.
I'm gonna say we have to.
Whenever the data goes somewhere, that's what.
You're just giving
Yeah.
This one I added just.
This might be.
So this is.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, you're right.
I'll just get right here.
But each one is its own.
So let's go to lunch.
So we want to.
Yeah. We're still trying to get it right.
Basically, this was the API. So they actually so that's why I was able to bring out this searching for
Yeah, they haven't
so this is exactly what it was. So we have that.
Do you have that,
Just in dogs, I didn't have.
Oh, it should, okay. I was like,
So if we've got our HTML.
This is how this is set up. So. It's just done. Where do we get this table? Yeah. It's saying now. Well, yeah, this would be one of it. Yeah, no, it would be the child's
No, you're on the.
Firebase. Or no, we just need to know. I think we're sorry. It's real confusing. I just want to make sure. Yeah, the setting just because that would be like an add is for it. Yeah.
So I added that in here.
Without UI, it's not getting it's like not sure. That's it. Yeah.
Well, live. What? Probably the furthest.
So that. So we added just sort yeah, yeah, so it's since we did put this in the table outside, you know, that it's still no intention. But it doesn't so all their values are defined, they've changed. So you have to make sure that you tell it to check those values. So right now it's just writing. So you can either do the same copy, maybe you have it submit or yeah, yeah.
All right, guys, I'm going to do just 5 minutes, and then I'm going to go over my solution to it. Then we can go on a break. So just put just 5 minutes, and then let me go over something quick.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I think I need it. So, it was just a snapshot. Yeah. No, we haven't. I'm just trying to guess. Just use one.
Yes.
We're just defining it.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what, we're writing towards these skills.
Right, where these go. This is all it is.
All right, guys, I got to do a power clap. All right, so what is something interesting we learned about the child value, the child added function methodology? What do we learn from that? What is different about that from the on value? Anybody?
It listens for when like something's created as opposed to when the value changes.
Right? That's true. That's good. That's one. Here's what I thought was interesting about it, is the fact that it wasn't just displaying one thing. It's a loop. That's pretty cool, right? So it's looping through all the records. A lot of us are kind of struggling with that because it's like, what's going on? So look, I put a little A++ on there because I wanted to see the loop, right? I wanted to see how that was happening. Let me do this. All right. All right, so check this out. Record 1. You guys see this in the comment, in the console log? Record 2, record 3, record 4, record 5, right? It went through all the records. It looped through them. I didn't tell it to loop through it. I was just doing a count here, right? Wasn't anything special to that. Each one of these, we're counting out the individual values. And every time it went through the loop, I'm just appending it through this. I'm just creating a div with all those records in there, right? So I have my header, and then I'm going, here's a record, here's a record, here's a record, here's 5 times, right? Do you guys understand that? Does that make more clarity with how that works a little bit? How are we feeling about that fist of 5? This is like the quietest I've ever heard Saturday. Okay. So this is tricky, right? So it's kind of, somebody mentioned it, when you're going through database records like this, you're going through that, it's kind of like an array, right? Sort of, except for the fact that we're not using an index in this particular situation, right? We're just saying, hey, pull out all these records. I'm gonna store them in a child snapshot, right? And what it's gonna pull is multiple child snapshots. It's gonna go, oh, here's one, here's another one, here's another child snapshot, here's another. It's gonna pull everything in there. We could specify how many of these we're going to pull. We can specify the order. We can specify all that, which is that more complicated syntax I showed earlier. But for this example, we're just pulling all the children, right? We're just pulling everything, all the children. All right. How you guys feel about a little better? This is 5. Okay, it's a little tricky. So, we're gonna do a lunch break, and we'll come back to it. So you get 35 minutes. I suggest if you're kind of struggling with it a little bit, I'll be around, so I can talk to you about it. Just raise your hand and we'll talk it out. But we got to make sure we get to this point after lunch because we're moving on. Okay, guys? Big power clap. How do you know?
It said 23%. That wasn't the charging thing.
Oh. Does this need to be plugged in or? Is that?
No.
Okay.
So, don't click into that. Yeah. You're gonna do the dip.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, that makes more sense. Perfect.
Let's see
Change that. They're all.
Well, right, yeah.
We were. That example, I don't know why I did that. I was having trouble checking.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it does. A lot of things should work. That's something. That works. Oh, yes, correct. Yes, we do. So what? Oh, actually, so they started, you know, raised, and so we don't have much. I feel like I'm going to see if this all works.
Oh yeah. What's up?
Yeah, everything working for any assignment except for
Yeah, there was
My wife is in Nebraska. She's doing the show. She doesn't know.
Does she really? Oh my gosh. I always did my own like hair makeup and then I make the suits.
Oh, you do?
To do, yeah. I mean another one of my side things.
That's awesome.
Does she do the shows here? Who is which wife?
Yeah, you guys yeah, no, there was some.
It's such a small world. I probably know. Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah. I did shows for 2 years. And I went pro with it. I got my and I got this like weird spear thing. And then I got my own like certified nutrition coach. I do that on now instead of.
I wish I
Okay. That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, it's hard and for sure. Like, as dumb as that is, but I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to have change, but such a small world. Hobby. Yeah, and it's yeah, it's a great world. And then I love all the and now I'm in CrossFit, and that's kind of my like my thing. I started running because I found like that's really good, and I never did any cardio ever before. So people are like, but I'm like, my knee hurts after like 2 weeks. I'll go back again.
All right. No, I'd like to run.
Oh,
Or she gets my way. You can yeah, she's
This is nice.
Okay, so let's watch you.
It's the only thing that's missing. Everything else works. Yeah. Everything. The only thing that's missing is my reading. I want the radio. And the readings. Underneath the gifts. So once I do readings, and then that's the gift index. So when they come up.
Yeah. 4 months worth of reading.
Okay. You might.
Oh, I
Yeah.
This is the crappy right now. So we have to do is add the month worth shipping.
Okay, so when he makes a call, we should see this. Boom.
Something, and then
Reading up.
Some, and we'll stop it on the very end.
So.
Oh, am I missing?
Oh, no, you're okay. You're okay. Well, where's one? I know, but where's Iris? Where's that?
There.
Yeah, I didn't see what.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sweet.
sorry.
Oh, but they're not. Okay, no, and then I just put them in that paragraph.
Sure.
Like
But yeah, when you're troubleshooting, I mean, seriously breaking it down just a simple every time.
Yeah.
You know. Try to break it down to yours right now.
We have it in mind.
then I want to.
Yeah,
It's probably not
momentary. Sure, yeah, or yeah. However you want to do it. You can even add into that string like here. And
I don't know what it is.
This is just easy, right? Yeah. So we can say.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
Yeah. So how do you want that to look? Well, that's not 100% right. Let's see. Let's go back.
Okay.
You got it. You're close.
I got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sweet.
The other way, yeah.
Oh, it's
We did. We're trying to do all of the music work. We were able to get into that. Okay, so actually I have a question for that. In your example, you asked me to like mentally all data out. Mentally all our data out. Yes, the database. Okay, so like someone else.
That's a good place.
Just have their data. Okay, so
This example.
awesome. Okay.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah. So high level is what's for probably
Like this.
So here we should right now get to the fields after we
Oh, yeah.
Firebase, just set it equal to
So yeah, after the after they press the play, just put all those
Oh, because
babies
we're just
back
taking that
into
because
their chairs.
well, this will still be. It's still. Oh, you're on.
Yeah. That's the format.
So that's what's going to be important. Other than this very, we're going to be taking so I think we just have to say. Pretty much. Yeah, I looked at it. I set up all I had all my HTML, so Measure Types and CSS. And then I'll set up last night and change my names. That's exactly what's there.
But if you want to,
JSON, ours is a 4. Are we doing a study thing today?
so I have things with.
So now, yeah, I don't know what we have.
If you want.
can do it.
Yeah. So, right after lunch, we're going to cover this Moments.js piece.
Yeah.
This is cool because what we can do with this, right, is we set a random date,
Yeah.
any format we want it to be in.
Okay. So instead of going back and trying to reinvent the wheel and understand it, just be patient and look at it.
No, not at all. I'm glad you're digging in because if you're asking the right questions, then the answer fits, right?
Right.
I mean, you're asking the absolute right question, like well, this is it. What date you want? What format do you want to be in?
Okay.
And then we have a date, right? So any format. Now, if you look up this
Wait,
sentence,
convert date is equal to, so wait, who is there? What? Hold on.
so it's taking this date,
Right.
converting it in this format. It knows this is month, date, year, right. This knows for here that this is probably a format for them to be a long month instead of a short month. So February instead of Feb or 02 or whatever. I have to look up the
Okay, so
documentation.
you are, this is not a JavaScript function. You are creating this function, converted date.
Converted date's value.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a value that has these two things into it. It's still a date technically, right? So then we're able to do difference. Now look, we're not using a Unix down here or anything.
Oh, okay. So now.
Right? Now we're doing something cool. Now we're able to say, okay, take that, right. Okay, so now this is basically doing the same thing. It's saying what difference is this from today? So this is just gonna.
Where did moment come from?
Moment is itself the function, right? Without that,
Oh, okay.
it's gonna pull today's date.
Hold on. So you got random date.
That is
Converted date.
so.
So there's a function called moment.
Just a moment. Now this is built into.
Okay. So that's for my question. There is a function. So this is a JavaScript function method.
Library. Yep.
Library.
Yeah.
This is where I'm trying to. I didn't know if this was a new function you were creating here, or if this is one that exists out there.
That's
in the interweb.
good. I'll bring that up as well.
That's
yeah.
where I'm having trouble
That
differentiating.
is-
Like,
Right. So
this is a already pre-canned.
Yeah,
function of
that
it.
helps with things
Yes.
quite a bit. I mean, really. Look
Okay.
at
And then you give it into which format you want. Got it.
convert the random date to a Unix time.
Mhm.
Right.
Okay.
So look at that, just X.
Okay.
Right.
Mhm.
So there's a ton of different stuff we can do with this. Now, if you look up the documentation, there's even more. There's a ton. But this is what I wanted to go over. We're going to do this in a class together after lunch. But
that was the key moment being in the library
Right.
for JavaScript.
right, you can do it in vanilla if you want to.
Right.
But it's
Why?
sometimes you got to know the shortcuts, right, to get there faster, right? And this is the shortcut. So
Alrighty.
the hell?
Because I started going along. So I was like, okay, I need a second. And then when I console logged in, I'm like, okay, well, because I thought it was going to give it to me in the Unix time. And I'm like, fine, I'll just take the Unix time from there, create that into a Unix time, separate them out, and then do the.
Yeah, and just because we're both kind of curious about it. Let's see.
Convert. I'm storing this format.
Yeah.
Kind of like you did. Oh yeah, look at that. Yeah, that's way confusing.
Yeah, no, we don't want to do that.
Good gracious. Oh.
Moment. Oh, use
Strongly advise you
use moment. There we go.
That's,
I hadn't gotten there yet.
that's the proof in the pudding, I guess, right there.
Yeah, I forgot to do that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I have to. So it's not essential. It's just there we go.
And I find that when I start out. Kind of sets me off. They make it. I love how they do the stuff we do on yeah, exactly. And then like, it's the same thing that you're trying to get to work. No, you do. Have a story to use. 50 image API. Huh?
Yeah. Oh, you did for trivia.
Yeah.
It's not. We had all this stuff. So that's the only thing that was weird.
Yeah, we did.
So I realized there's a bug. So when you click the question mark, don't click it again. Otherwise, it's gonna set it up. You gotta turn them on. Okay. Because there's free music that I downloaded. That's really very nice.
Star Trek, Star Wars, Dr. Who, and the other API to make sure that people can only do Dr. Who types.
And they have roughly styles.
Oh my God.
Wow.
So.
So,
I didn't get any of these.
okay.
It's a little bit of a rush game. It's 35. It's kind of a harsh game.
I don't know.
Why you did that? Still asking.
Really hard.
I'm over 3.
is.
Oh, I don't like this game. You got all three of my PlayStations right.
Right. Nice. It's a trick question, by the way. And the only reason so not to look like a total nerd, the only reason that those first two characters, I Googled like absurd character.
Who knows these things?
No one does. That's why it's less.
Just having her contract and down to the parent so there for half a day, and then we drove another 30 minutes to go to a line. Because her mom's a nurse there, she was the doctor. Yeah, it's kind of baby. After she got the good thing to have.
Yeah. Actually, if you go, she's very fine.
No, I don't know that.
She is it herself.
She's probably told her.
Some of the people we go to.
Nice. Okay.
But why?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that's appetite.
No. It's like you guys it helps with getting your energy.
Those are hard.
Yeah. So no one is.
If they're strong, I'm
It's the most common question. So
I basically took all of them.
Yeah, so some of those questions can't be conversations that we're getting rid of topics. They go literally. And some of them I don't know. You know, like, so,
Who do you like? Anybody?
Yeah.
yeah.
Anybody?
That's
Well, the thing is, it doesn't take you that's what they're into. That's like old school. So, back then, it's probably a lot of money. I don't know. Yeah. There's a few other ones in there that you think we're talking about like odd laws that currently exist in each state, right? One of them is that New York has a sales tax. That's one question. So we're looking at different like state laws. Conversation. Random conversations. Yeah, it's like, you should definitely Google it because it's, you know, ridiculous state laws. Because every state has one. Every state has some kind of outlet. That may be sort of something. Got it. You can't chase them these. Then it just takes. Parsons it. So yeah, it would count as like radical episode about having a transition. And that's how.
Oh, no, New York's on the single circle. There's no tiger sharks or big cats. Whether, oh my gosh, whether or not there's conscious or unconscious, hey, we think it's something that's tranquilized.
Yeah. Some other really.
I know a lot of people in North Carolina, we're getting more than 10 hours.
So that helps us.
West Virginia has a
I imagine there's gonna be a script. Alaska is a legal territory.
That's what? I'm in a bar then.
All right, guys, y'all ready? Yeah, you want to do a big power clap? Blake? I gotta keep on trucking. Yeah. I know we're missing TA too. I said one? All right, 4 more minutes. 4 more minutes. Oh, never mind.
See, I don't know how good. Okay, so yeah, there's just a little bit. Oh, really? There you go. Hopefully you're so we're supposed to be downloading this right now?
No.
Go try it again.
Yeah,
We're going down the path of looking into the state.
You cannot throw turkeys or chickens up there.
what happens?
That we're supposed to do something that's like things and stuff like that.
You started talking about industry again.
Because I had like conversations with these one moment.
There was also a period
No, I mean, this.
All right, guys, I'm going to get started. All right, we all ready? Okay, so we're going to take a step away from our project. We're going to come back to it right after this, but let's not think about our project for a second. We're going to take a little break, come right back to it with some added knowledge that we can apply to our project. Okay, so let's go over that added knowledge. Okay, so moments.js, right? This is another JavaScript library, right, that helps us format dates, use dates, manipulate, compare, do different things with dates, right? I think you guys might see why this is going to be beneficial for our project. So in web development, there's like a lot of different instances where we need to do something with dates and compare dates. And JavaScript sometimes makes this a little cumbersome. Like Virginia and I were just looking up some syntax on how to change the date into a Unix timestamp through JavaScript, and it's kind of tricky. The second suggestion to do it in Stack Overflow was to use moments.js. So it's probably a good thing we're covering it. Moments.js provides a bunch of tools for like parsing dates, right? Adding dates, subtracting, comparing date time. So we don't have to try to go back to the Unix date timestamp, compare two different numbers and go, okay, this is 1,273 million different than this number. What does that look like in months, right? I mean, it takes a lot of that logic out of it. So, you guys ready to jump into this? Y'all feel refreshed after lunch? Or are we all kind of, let's do it, man. Let's do it, right? Get that extra energy in. So we're going to slack out the moments activity .html. All right, you can work on it with your groups or individually, maybe individually in this one, just because it's kind of easy and it's not really related directly. Okay, so we're going to do complete each of the activities that are listed in the comments. We don't need to go in order. And don't let the simple example fool you, all right? Working with a new library can be difficult. Reading the documentation in there will really help you. So know what we're working with, kind of assess it and go, okay, there's a new library. I might have to learn a couple new things to work with this library and apply it to the different samples. All right? And raise your hand if you get stuck with it, but do it. Take a little bit of time with it and try to figure it out on your own. Okay? I just want to make double sure that that example has the CDN in it. Oh, I guess you have to find it. Well, all right, you guys will have to. Well, yeah, all right, yes, just go find it. All right. It should look something like what's on the screen. If you already have it from the CDN, just use that. Otherwise, Alex just select it.
Thank you.
Okay, so passing my data on the platform. So if you go back to the first go to so obviously this is not passing. This is so basically, oh, because it's console logging, it's function on value. I'd say instead of console logging, I'd say console logging for that function. So like after each one, I would do like console log. I would just console log each one. Console log this one, console log this one, console log. You do it a couple of ways. Okay. Well, you can use so trying to do that makes and a whole bunch of things to do. You can use it to comparison, show how many days between 2 days. Browser, fresh, and
more detail.
So this is the film that you're expecting.
Okay, so one thing I'll tell you is that if you use moments without any primary, moment just moment over close parentheses, that's now. Oh, right, of course we can do that. Oh, okay. I got you. You can realize that they right, if you don't pass anything at the moment, if you pass this good, in this case,
Yeah.
So if you scroll down, you see how in this case my passes. Right. Like, well, here we are passing from the moment, but everywhere else it's just one. So that's now this moment. In fact, look at the comments; they all are relative to this moment in time. 11 hours left.
Well, I got you. I got you.
What that is.
So.
Yeah, take a look, figure out the days perhaps. I don't know it offhand, but I do have no days. So I guarantee that, of course, if not chance, or if it's not for years, so I would say that first month of the you don't have any more.
Second.
Let me show you.
Yes, that's spoken.
So, you see how today this morning moment, that instruction, if you pass the chance, the moment, but it's not down here, they pass something strength. That's so if you don't pass any moment, right like that issue, right? I would like format that it can receive parameters or not. Yeah. Don't pass them that into the format. Yeah, so it formats the data to a certain part. That's exactly what right. So depending on how what parameters you pass into the format, it formats the data, the date. Or it's some other date. More well, so here, you see how random strings. This is from now.
So basically, there are, I think if you had like a really
you could just wrap this whole thing in a constant. You could play Toswa. But you could also encapsulate that.
you want to do exactly like on this, but for the purposes of
And so there's all sorts of methods in that let you do your
it's not like reliable. The strings we passed in more yeah.
questions on how to use moments?
Yeah, like I did. Yeah.
I was like, I know that's.
And so you're trying to get so many days. You're trying to get what? You're trying to between two different days.
Yeah. Randomly good days.
And you go to calculation. So in this particular case, let's see if I have an example. Pass it into the argument as well. So I assume that that your random date is a variable or is a date that's been generated using one date. It's a random compare, right? So moment, format, random date. So in this case, this what's random date? Random date is that. So this is the problem. So moments, open close parentheses, is now. That makes sense? If I just do moment, open close parentheses, that's right now. If I were to pass random date into moment, then that would give me a date of that date. Format is used to format that date. So you don't want to pass random date into format.
It's already in the right format.
Exactly. Go back to the, can you make a new tab and go to moment.js, you have it right here. I'm sorry, make a new one and go to moment.js. So just go back to that. So you see how here we're doing moment. That means now, if we were passing into moment, then yeah, and then now we're actually now that date. So you see how that's 2011. So that's so format doesn't receive a date, receives parameter. So you're passing a date format. You want to pass a date moment. Format receives having that format result. And each of these columns represent what's returned. So if you just do moment format, it's now. Format is the default result. Return format is just this. Then that format of that. Well, what you're trying to do is the whole point is the library. This is the whole beauty of this So the reason you're getting they're coming in different formats is because of your format. So format parameters are different. Well, if you want them to be the same. Really? So now, of course, we're doing 17 years ago. Go back here. What is your
Yeah, check it.
Because you're getting loan now that's not necessarily everything, but when you want to use that, so there's a method to do to get from 52
But I said,
so go back to your.
I got it.
Scroll to the top.
So like whenever this, last month,
So what you're basically doing is this. To get the difference in milliseconds, you do this format. You make a variable, you make a date, one variable, another variable. Now, if you pass it around, such as days, it'll tell you how many days are between those 2 days. So this is how you get the difference. But what you've done is correct. Just apply this to your computer. And then if you were to say days, space, months, it would tell you months, 5 months, 30 days. Try it. Yeah, you could do years, space, months, space, days. 6 years.
So it's good.
Oh, it says, oh, different. Oh, okay. Okay, I think you have that at the wrong place.
Well, it doesn't have to be in it doesn't have to. It should be the right here. Let's take a look. So in other words, just try. Don't worry about formatting.
Take a look.
Just do that. Just do that. Yeah. So right there.
Oh, no,
that. Yeah. Oh, basically paste that instead of A.
But so up here, right?
Let's just see what that gives. Just
Oh, it has to be.
Oh, by the way,
You want to be? Yeah.
Take that whole step.
So hold on, let me check this quick. Convert it there. Okay.
So we. Really don't know, right?
Just see what it tells you. Should something before that. Unless there's something
it's good.
maybe search for common.
So,
Yeah.
You're getting a lot more. Right? It includes those keywords or something. You could try, if perhaps it doesn't matter how you define it, how the dates that you're using are going format. So go to your application, just read the word. Maybe what you can try doing is using that dates in there, just see if it works. Yes. And then try it. And then try putting it on there.
Right there. So it's right? There you go. That's
I'm curious.
You can carry. Yeah. You got it.
Let's get rid of that line. And then let's just go one. Let's just do double quotes on it. It shouldn't matter. Where's my Let's try a different, it's weird that it's not a number. Yeah, so I guess it's like a phone. So you do that. It needs to be higher than normal. Yeah. It's weird because I still think that their function is still the original setting. You know, I use that instead of one that was actually being formatted. Because it's not doing anything. Yeah. And this one was going and there's both technically days, right? They're both morning days. Because I was formatting it, that's why. That's exactly what's going on. It's formatting. I mean,
So annoying.
What number did you get? 72 days.
Yeah, I got some.
Yeah.
No, sorry,
All right, you guys, how are we all doing? We're about to finish. You guys, 55. How are we doing? 5. You're on 4.
You're on 4, so in the fist of 5. So all right, we'll see if you can beat me. I'm gonna just run through these real quick. All right, so what are some things that we learned when we started doing this, guys? Anybody want to volunteer some information, some interesting things that they ran into? Go ahead.
It doesn't work on formatted dates.
Doesn't work on formatted dates. So if you already formatted something and tried to do something, it may not work. All right. What are some other things that we discovered? Anybody? All right. So did everybody get this first one right? How did we all do with that one? The fist of 5. How did we all do with the first one? I see everybody's hands up. Should, right? So it should look something like that, right? This is I got a little error here, I guess. Oh, I see. So it should look something like that, right? There was a bunch of different formats that they had available for you to use, right? Whatever, something like that. Did anybody try the X? I guess that's a later on one, right? You see that? What's this one gonna do? Anybody want to volunteer that? Unix time. Look how easy that was, right? Right, Virginia. So, all right. How about the time between date, years? And somebody want to volunteer their solution for this one? Anybody? No? All right. So if I did something a random date and I went, okay, let's see, compared to what, to now? Is that it? Or is it to like that? Or something like that? Oh, I forgot the moment. Yeah, thanks. Something like that. Is that what you guys got for that answer? Number 2, right? Something like that. What do you do?
Created a variable for start date, end date, subtracted them, and converted that to as dates, as weeks, as months, and then controlled all of the three.
Oh, very good. So you said, okay, I'm going to separate these into 3 separate things. So you said, okay, so you could do moment, and date, and then we compared like today's date, right, which is just a moment. Something more like that. Okay. Is that kind of what you guys ran into too? Does that kind of look like some of your other solutions? Cool. Awesome. Did we get stuck on any of these? Did anybody kind of have a problem with anything they kind of want to walk through in class? This was a Unix one, so 4. Does anybody want to step through 3 for any reason? The number of days between a random date and this? All right, how about we do it for fun? Since we got all the time in the world. Just kidding, we don't have any time. I shall skip through this. If you guys feel confident with it, I'm feeling great with it. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, I'd love to. Thanks. I'm still staring at you. That's my thanks, but not really. All right, so I could just declare a new date, right? So I'll set a new date within JavaScript. So I can say, okay, what was it, 2014? All right, so that's all I needed for that. I have a date. I'm ready to go with that. Moment. And I get that new date, and now I can decide how I want to split that up, right? So I guess I'll say, let's say days, right? Is that it? Days. Something like that. Does that seem like what you guys got for that? Something like that. So I had to kind of declare a new date, and then I was able to use it. So please don't ask me to run this code to make sure this all works. No, I'm just kidding. I think it's solid. How about I run through 5 quick, guys? Is that good? So the day of the week, what is it? Determine the day of the week and what week of the year this random date falls. All right. So without looking at the syntax on the website, it's a format, but I don't remember the. All right. Who wants to volunteer? Four? Sure. That's 3. All right. All right. We'll do 4. Are they lower D's or big D's? All right. All right, let's just compare those 2 because I'm definitely curious now. Well, we have plenty of time, right? kidding. All right, here we go. All right, we got a ton of stuff to get to, guys. So I just want we'll run this quick just to see, and just because I hate writing stuff without looking at it. I just want to see what these look like. All right. All right, and if we start early, start creating inputs, and yeah, we're not gonna do that. All right. All right, moments activity. That was fun. Thanks, Christian. All right. Cool. So, does anybody remember what order I did all this in? All right. So it looks like we had 5A would have been the random date DDD. What day of the week it falls on? I wonder what DDD is. It must be 54th day of the year, but that's exactly what that is. Good call. Yeah, and it fell on Tuesday. So Nicole, you're absolutely right. Here's our Unix timestamp. All right, and then we got here our random date difference in days, negative 722. And then from 2001 in what? Oh, sorry, up here. The moment from now in years, 19. And then another Unix and a bunch of other formatting stuff. So this deprecation warning is basically saying that that the library itself is kind of out of, like, it's using some syntax that may very well be going away. It has nothing to do with your code. It's just something that lives in that library. Nothing we can do about that. Oh, let's see. Slack that out. That's it. So yeah, any questions about that, guys?
Right now, we calculated data post January 1st, 1970. What about calculate?
Oh, in Unix time? A negative?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm asking you. If it becomes a negative or
Yeah, anything before January 1st, 1970 would be a negative in Unix, I believe. So 0 on December 31st, 1969, 23:59:59 would be a 0. First, second, I bet, or that might be wrong. I forget when it starts on 0. That might be, I think that's 0. Anything before that is negative. So that's a good question. Anybody else? Any question about that? All right. Sure. Yeah, do you want to check out the solutions for that, guys? Sweet. I didn't see. Gosh, I really wanted to add those the dates into our application. So, guess we'll see if that. Oh, okay. No, we did. Okay, great. Perfect. So, here's what we're gonna do next then. Okay. So, using our new date and time format, moments knowledge, we're gonna calculate the number of months worked in our applications. Okay. So we're gonna use a lot of different things. We're gonna use the moments, right? We're gonna use date, right? We're going to use the compare, the diff, rather. And then we're going to figure out the total amounts billed from the start date, right? So you guys remember that total months worked times the rate, monthly rate, come up with that total. So with our new library being added, don't forget to add it, we should be able to use the moments in our applications. So we'll work on that for a little bit. It shouldn't take too long. We'll just do that for like 15 minutes.
We fixed some data, but we pushed out the
So you guys put in so much work into that function.
I like
Yeah. I don't remember like you guys put in like that.
It works. That's why I don't want to replace it, because I'm gonna. So in the meantime, I just did well on debating where to for a long. So right now it's not here. So here I have a here. Format that something, and then we calculate their differences. So here, yeah. Oh no. So this start. So oh yeah. Here. It says in the year, so we have to format is. Yeah, that's it. That's what happens. Yeah, that's exactly.
If you were using a calendar or something, it would be
You just have to. Now we're going to do is have a step where what they put in their format into a standard format. Yeah. 14. Yeah, better than it. Yeah, it's all footage. You guys can take it down. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we never had it. My number is holding. And it is written in this one. So then. They're very well be like
Just like. Second assignment. I know I wasn't the only one that passed one. 3 months. So you're Red too, right? I don't want to go expand. Something else. It's nice. Yeah, that's fine. Most of these works. It's a living seller.
Yeah.
I had so much to do. Oh my gosh, I got. Can you guys can everybody stay? Can you guys stay like 10 minutes?
No, you can stay a little bit.
Hey, guys, sorry, I had a big stop on it. I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was so late. TAs, nice job. No, it's okay. We do need to do the touch base quick. I promise it'll just take like 10 minutes or less. Please, if you can stay for it, it'll just take a minute. I'm going to Slack out the different links. Oh my gosh, I had so much to cover. All right, okay. Real quick, I want to Slack out the instructions for the project weeks. We are going to define project teams. We're going to start projects. So really exciting. So we're going to cover all these different things. This is going to be Slacked out to you.
Okay, we're gonna have, we haven't defined the groups yet, so don't worry about that piece of it yet. I don't know if they're gonna be a combination of Monday or Tuesday, Monday, how that's gonna look yet. We don't know any of the information, but we do know this, okay? This is exactly what we're looking for, right? You gotta come up with something on your own. You gotta come up with something that might be used or some situation that might be some inventive. I mean, you can be as creative as you want to with it. But we really want to see things like this, and don't use the alerts confirms. Really, there's modals which look really pretty. You know, just try to make it step a little bit outside your space with that. User input validation. What does that mean? It means if I typed in XYZ for my amount in our last project, that it would go, please enter a number, right? So think through some of those things with our application. So we slacked out the instructions. Coming up this week, we'll designate the groups, okay? So that'll be coming. Just want to look for that. Time chain permissions. The time train homework that you guys have assigned. You can enter in some of the moment stuff. I just wanted you guys to cover this real quick. Knowing things like this, right? The train comes in at 3, train runs every 17 minutes. Remember, that's IT questions. There's been no delays. How many minutes away is the next train? I mean, we can figure out that stuff using the moment.js, right? So I just wanted to kind of highlight this, right? That homework can be kind of tricky. There's a lot of math involved, but if we use a tool like the moments.js, that stuff will be really, really easy. Okay. Gosh, I will slack out the time chain prediction. Can we slack that out quick too, guys, just so they have it? And I'll slack out some solutions after class today too. Basically, if you guys can walk through this exercise on your own this afternoon or this evening or whenever you have free time, just to kind of walk through, it won't take long. We just want you to fill through the comments and using the code as a guide. So kind of like, okay, what's happening here? Just take a second. Use the rubber ducky methodology. You guys remember what that is? Anybody? You know, where you're talking through somebody, use a rubber ducky, talk it through with that. Or if you have somebody that wants to listen to you talk about this, and I never have, so I don't know what that's like. So if you guys have somebody who wants to talk about JavaScript that doesn't know anything about it, more power to you. I really want to do this checkpoint, so if anybody can stay for it, I'd really love it too. If you can't, I totally understand. It's just going to be real quick timers and APIs. It shouldn't take more than 5-10 minutes. If you can stay. If you can't, I totally understand. So I'm going to select that out now for Tuesdays and Wednesdays. All right, thanks, guys. Big power clap anyway. All right. We're going to slack out 2 links for those that can stay. Hopefully, most of us can. One's for the Monday, Wednesday. One's for Tuesday, Thursday. First one's Tuesday, Thursday. Oh, totally. Yeah, go ahead. I mean, it's not a. I mean, I think it's better to do in class, but. Totally cool. Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry, man. See ya. Yeah. See you next couple Saturdays. Thanks, man. Those look like the same link, so.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, hold on.
I think they're both Monday.
They're both Monday, Wednesday? All right, thanks, man. Shoot. What's that? I don't know why they, oh, you know what? Yeah, I just think it's, I'm sorry, man. All right, there we go. Oh, cool. Awesome. Great.